The Philadelphia Eagles might finally be desperate enough to revisit this idea. After a roller coaster season in the National Football League, insiders suggest Philly could be considering a move fans thought was long off the table. With playoff hopes on the line and key positions underperforming, the Eagles may be ready to make a bold, unexpected decision that could change the trajectory of their season. But here's the twist. What exactly are they planning, and could it backfire? Stick around as we dive into this developing story and reveal why the Eagles' next move could shock the NFL.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're a fan of the NFL and the Philadelphia Eagles, you're going to want to stick around for this because today we're diving into some absolutely intriguing news about the Eagles. News that could change the trajectory of their season in a major way.
And yes, it's about an idea that fans have been speculating on for quite some time, an idea that, honestly, the Eagles may have been hesitant to revisit, but desperation might just push them over the edge. So, let's break it down. For weeks now, we've seen the Eagles struggle in areas that many expected them to dominate. There have been injuries, there's been inconsistency, and let's be honest, sometimes even the best coaching staff can't fully compensate for gaps in the roster. The offense has had flashes of brilliance, sure, but there's been enough of a roller coaster that whispers of revisiting this controversial idea have started to circulate again. And here's where it gets interesting. It's an idea that we all thought was off the table, maybe even permanently shelved, but the Eagles might be staring at a point where they're finally willing to pull the trigger. Now, for those who've been following the team closely, you probably already know what I'm talking about. But let's set the stage. This isn't just any minor roster adjustment. We're talking about a high-profile, game-changing move, one that could either elevate the Eagles back into serious playoff contention or backfire spectacularly if not handled correctly. Think about it. The Eagles have had moments this season where the offensive line has been questioned, where the passing game hasn't quite clicked, and where the defense, while solid, hasn't always created the turnovers necessary to win close games. And when a team hits that kind of rough patch, history shows that management tends to reconsider moves they may have previously ruled out. The idea we're discussing is one of those high-risk, high-reward scenarios.
So why revisit it now? Well, it's all about timing. Right now, the Eagles are at a crossroads. They have talent, there's no denying that, players who are capable of elite performance, but the synergy isn't quite there. And as the season progresses, you can bet the front office is looking at the standings, crunching the numbers, and thinking, do we have enough firepower to make a real run, or do we need to shake things up?
Historically, teams in the NFC East and the NFL more broadly have shown that if you hesitate too long, opportunities can vanish overnight.
There's also the fan pressure. Let's be real. Eagles fans are some of the most passionate in the league. Social media is flooded with hot takes, gifs, and breakdowns of every single play. Fans have been vocal about their desire to see the team take bold action, especially in response to some of the inconsistencies we've seen on the field.
And while front offices don't make moves based purely on fan sentiment, you can bet that loud, persistent speculation creates at least some psychological nudging behind the scenes.
Now, let's talk specifics, without getting into anything that hasn't been reported yet. The idea in question has always been polarizing. When it was first floated, maybe a year or two ago, there were plenty of critics who said it was too risky, too disruptive, or even unnecessary. Some even questioned whether it would align with the team culture that head coach Nick Sirianni has been building. But here's the kicker. Circumstances have changed. Injuries, free agent availability, and the current roster's performance all create a perfect storm for reconsideration. And this is where it gets really intriguing. If the Eagles actually go through with this, it's not just a minor tweak. It would be a statement. It would signal to the league, to fans, and to opponents that the Eagles are all in, that they're willing to take calculated risks to compete at the highest level.
We've seen other teams do similar moves. Sometimes it works out brilliantly, other times it doesn't. But the potential upside here is massive. We're talking about elevating the team from good to serious Super Bowl contender in one decisive action.
Of course, nothing is ever guaranteed. There are always concerns about chemistry, about salary cap implications, and about the ripple effects across the roster. But NFL teams have to weigh those risks against the potential reward. And the truth is, the window for teams like the Eagles doesn't stay open forever. Quarterbacks age, offensive lines shift, coaching staffs come and go. If there's a moment to strike, it's often sooner rather than later.
Now let's touch on what this could mean for the Eagles' opponents. If they make this move, suddenly the dynamic in the NFC East changes. Teams like the Cowboys, Commanders, and Giants would have to rethink game plans. It's not just about adding a new piece, it's about altering the way defenses and offenses approach the Eagles. And in a league as strategic as the NFL, that kind of disruption can be priceless. There's also a storyline here that's incredibly compelling for the media and for fans alike. You have a team that once dismissed an idea as too risky, now potentially embracing it out of necessity. It's the classic desperate times call for desperate measures scenario, and those narratives are exactly the kinds of things that fans latch onto. It makes you wonder, if the Eagles take this step, will other teams start reconsidering moves they've previously avoided?
Could this spark a chain reaction of bold, aggressive decisions across the league?
I also want to highlight that while this idea is exciting, it's not something the Eagles would rush. Teams in situations like this often move cautiously, testing the waters, gauging reactions, and making sure that any decision aligns with long-term strategy. So even if we start hearing more rumors, it doesn't necessarily mean a move is imminent, but it does mean the conversation is alive, and that in itself is telling.
And let's be honest, there's a part of the Eagles fan base that has been itching for bold action. We've seen countless posts on social media speculating, breaking down pros and cons, and even drafting fantasy scenarios. And while those posts aren't always accurate, they capture a sentiment that you can't ignore. Fans want to see their team fight for every advantage, no matter how unconventional it might seem.
From a purely tactical standpoint, revisiting this idea could solve multiple issues at once. It could bolster a struggling unit, open up opportunities for other players, and create a new level of unpredictability on the field. And in the NFL, unpredictability is often one of the greatest assets a team can have. Defenses can't prepare for everything, and a well-timed move can completely shift the momentum in critical games.